Welcome back, everybody. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and we are your hosts, Bull and P. This is going to be a shorter one today, but we will be recapping Tennessee versus UTEP. And of course, man, Ole Miss blew it versus Florida. So now Tennessee is back in the playoff hunt officially, and then Indiana getting blown out by them Buckeyes. I think that's going to be quite enough for us to make it in. But there's still some games that's going on right now that could help us to maybe get home field, maybe even still make it to the SEC championship if we want to do that. We'll talk about all that, and then too, David Sanders did visit the Buckeyes this weekend. We're going to touch on all those things, but please do us a very big favor. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. So, P, I know that you missed a good portion of this game. P was at a coaches meeting, so he didn't get to see quite everything, but we will just, recap what we saw, what looked good, what didn't look great. And I will start off. So for me, first and foremost, we start the game off pretty slow, pretty sluggish. I think that Tennessee came into this one I would say maybe overlooking UTEP, because we were looking towards Vanderbilt because that's the biggest one. All Tennessee needs to do at this point is beat Vandy, and we will be in the playoffs. So, I think that that's a part of the reason that we looked kind of sluggish. It did feel like to me that maybe, and I don't want to speculate too much. I'm just telling y'all how I feel just from like watching it. Kind of felt like maybe there was a little something going on behind the scenes, and it could have been something just as simple as Coach Heupel, Coach Halsley, and whoever else talking to the offense saying, "Look, we got to get the vertical passing game going. We got to hit on certain metrics because at this point, man, we got to show improve." So maybe that's why we started the game off tight. Nico missed Squirrel White, I think, on the opening plays, wide open on like a little skinny post, throws it, maybe like 5 yards behind him. It's almost picked off. The offense just did not look good to start things off, but the thing about really good football teams, like whenever you are the better team, as the game wears on and you get out of all the opening scripts, because UTEP definitely came into this game like their Super Bowl, and they just threw everything at us. A whole bunch of trick plays. I think to start the game off, you got to get past the opening part of it, and if you can do that, then that's when you know who the better team actually is. And obviously, it was Tennessee, man. We won this game 56-0. And if the people voting on the CFP rankings, if they thought that Alabama looked good versus Mercer, UTEP is a better team than Mercer. And for those of y'all that's got that BVS, man, look, Georgia beat UMass, 48 or 49 or something to like 28.
It's like 50 something. Yeah, 50 something, 20 something, I think.
Yeah, so like 50 something to like 20 something. That is way worse because UTEP would most definitely beat UMass. So there's absolutely no reason for us to be panicking at any point with this team. I think that we're going to be just fine, but we do have to take care of business versus Vandy. So we started the game off slow, but we kind of started, we found our groove. It always starts with that running game. D-Sam had a really nice game. We will pull up those stats. Obviously, Brew getting 2 tugs in one game. That's huge. Everybody gets cookies for that. But I think that it's also big just for, like we kind of started this thing off with, the psychological aspect of this team, especially with our wide receivers. I don't remember seeing Chris Brazel out there. He might have sat this one out. But, we got to see our younger players and everything else. So there's a whole lot of things right there just for me to kind of like set the stage. But, P, I guess just based off of what you did see, how did you feel about this game? And then, too, let me just say this real quick. Man, we got 2 ballers at corner, okay? 2 of them getting turnovers, just making plays. I still think that the pass rush could pick up just a little bit. I think that Jeremiah Thielander might be, at this point, maybe like our 4th best linebacker. He's just too slow. But I think that Arion Carter played well. I think that everyone else, just did their thing. But, P, what did you think?
Yeah, I missed most of it. I missed the first drive of the game, but I saw a good portion of the first quarter. And then I had a coaching meeting, and I had to put up on my phone in the coaching meeting, but we had no service there, so I couldn't even watch it. So I missed literally the entire game pretty much. But I did see that we started slow, and that slow start. There's a number of things, like you said, probably we're overlooking these guys. Could have been maybe a little hangover from last week, kind of an emotional loss. Or it could have been all the festivities with it being senior day and everything like that kind of entails. It was a lot of factors, but you know what? I'm glad to see that we overcame that we're able to bounce back and put together some drives and kind of put that game away. But like I said, I didn't really get to see much Part I saw, I saw UTEP hit a trick play on us on defense. I saw the quarterback kind of breaking contain and scrambling. So just kind of things like that. Just kind of felt like the team was sleepwalking a little bit early. Got to go back and really watch it to see for sure. But that's what it kind of felt like. And but glad to see, like you said, Rick Gibson, Jamal McCoy played big time ball. Glad to see those guys stepping up playing. I saw the very last drive of the game when we're on defense, and hey, guess who got to play? I don't know if he got in before that, but we saw my guy, freaking Jordan Burns. Burns, 54, and he looks good.
Wow.
Now, I think his issue is that he's a little bit undersized. He looks a little bit skinny. He looks like he's probably about 215 right now, something like that. But man, he can move. He's fast. He's active. He's athletic, and he made some plays there. I think he was in the 2 or 3 plays that last drive I saw. I think he was in on every one of those tackles. So he's flying around sideline. He's a guy probably not this season, but give him some time, put on some weight. We just talk about T-Lander being maybe that 4th guy now. I think if Burns can learn and can get put on the weight needs to and stuff like that, he looks really good. And maybe I'm overreacting off of 3 or 4 clips that I saw of him, but he looked really good. Very impressed with him. He wears number 54 in case anybody was wondering. But glad we got to win. Glad we got to see some teams go down like Ole Miss, and we saw Indiana go down pretty emphatically. So I think it sets up well for us. Like you said, it just comes down to kind of what I felt like it was going to come down to for a long time. Can we avoid blowing it against a bad team that we know are better than, a team we should beat? And we'll see, but that's going to be our season.
Yeah, so let me say this too about Jordan Burns because actually let me go ahead and get that part of it fixed first. All right,
and real quick too, I know you touched on, but I also did want to shout out Brew McCoy, man. So one of the plays I did happen to see, I saw one of his touchdowns. I don't know which one it was, but I saw one of his touchdowns. I happened to see that one live, or I saw a replay. It had it on TV where we're at, and they showed the highlight of that one. So happy to see him get that, man. He deserves it, man. And honestly, for all those seniors, man, love those guys to death. This is our last game in Neyland. Love those guys to death. Those guys stuck it out. Coop, Spraggs. Freaking all those guys. John Campbell coming in here. You look at Will Brooks. The whole entire D line. Gosh, love those guys to death. They've given it their all, and we wouldn't be anywhere near where we're at without those guys. And they are going to be greatly, greatly missed moving forward. But absolutely love that senior class.
Yeah, for sure. So let me touch on Jordan Burns. So if he is undersized, it's because he's been banged up the entire season. You can't lift weights and things like that. So it's better for him to be more undersized and still be able to move than, him just eating a whole bunch of food and gaining that bad weight, because that's what we definitely don't need. And I know that you touched on T-Lander. Man, he just out in space, man. It's not just about straight line speed, especially playing on defense, but really, I would say most of football, it's about being able to change directions. If he gets going one way, it's almost impossible for him to get going back the other way in a fast enough fashion for it to be good. For it to be good enough for SEC ball, he is either going to have to lose some weight and get significantly faster and more agile, or he's got to put his hand in the dirt. Okay, that's where I'm at with him. We just cannot play with linebackers that are that slow.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
he said preseason that was one of the things we worked on was his quickness and his speed. That was one of the things he said he worked hard on, and it's just not really showing up for me.
Yeah, it feels like he's gotten slower and slower as the season has gone on. I think that right now, Arion Carter and Jalen Smith are our 2 best linebackers, and then it's probably Caleb Perry, Edwin Spillman. It sounds like he might be able to give it a go next week. He would be in that mix. Man, Jeremiah T-Lander, he better figure something out. Or I don't know, at what point do we ever want to put him on the field, because he is a liability out in space. That just cannot happen. Now, he did make some plays, just watching it off of the first go, because we will break the film down later on tonight. But I just, man, he's gonna have to do something, because that is not going to work. People are going to go right at him all the time. But I think that all of our young guys did look good. Whenever they got the opportunities, we talked some. Maybe it was yesterday when I put the film out for the offensive line. Talk a lot about them. You can tell that they've gotten bigger, they've gotten stronger. It looks like they understand what to do better. We got everyone who came in, Cam Selden coming in, everybody, all those running backs. I think that they had plenty of room to run. So we should look good next season, and not to look too far ahead, because we still got a lot left in this one. But let's just recap real quick, P. Let's talk about Nico. Like we said, he started the game off kind of slow, but he finished it 17 of 23. Those are really good numbers. I'm going to tell you exactly what that percentage is. Let me calculate it, because I'm not Let me see if I can figure it out. 17 of 23. So wow, almost 74%. So really good game. 9.1 yards per probably attempt, and then 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Almost had that first one. So those numbers look good. He also ran the football whenever he needed to. Let's see. His numbers ended up being 7 of 36 for 5.1 yards per carry. I don't know if is the defensive stats up just yet. How many sacks did we give up in this game? 3. 3 is way too many, and then we got 3. Some of those sacks, honestly speaking, like there was one time where Dane Davis stepped on Nico's foot. He probably would have got, he probably would have, not gotten sacked. But I think this pocket presence was good. Once he kind of calmed down, he was very accurate. I think that the play calling was better than people, were giving it credit for. You have to understand what we're doing, what we're up against. I think that we did a good job, right? That's just off of the first watch. Now let's talk about DeSant, man. 12 carries for 113. 9.4 yards per carry with 1 touchdown. The offensive line, I think that they looked good. Again, man, Jackson Lampley started for Sprags. I don't know if I ever saw John Campbell. He might have played some, but I don't think he played at all. It felt like Dane Davis played the entire game. So those are backups. I think that they kind of held their own. There's some things that we would definitely like back. And then, man, Peyton Lewis, he's really starting to pick things up, I think, in a very, very major way. He's got to do a much better job in pass protection. I was like, dude, like he gave up, I think the first sack of the game was on him. Don't just go to the middle of use your brain, man. Like, you've got to know where the blitzes are coming from. Where is the pressure coming from? Who's the person that the offensive line isn't blocking? That's your guy. That's your guy. So we got to get him right with the pass pro, but just running the football, he looks really, really good. So 7 carries for 48 yards, 6.6 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. Cam Sutton, like we talked about, he looked really good, 4.9 yards per carry. Keith came in. He had a really nice run for 23 yards, which was the second longest right there behind Go. But he's averaging 9.8 yards per carry. So, and he was doing that with our, second, third string offensive line. There was some walk-ons playing whenever he was in there. But we've got the guys. We've got the talent. We just have to, I think, establish, who we are, which is run the football first and then work off of play action. We can take those deep shots, and feels like we started to get more comfortable with that. We also got to see Mike Matthews. I think that he played well. He had a touchdown that was called back. Holding stays in some very critical moments. There's absolutely no need for you to put your hands out to block somebody. If you know that you're trying to pick somebody off on a play as a tight end, as a wide receiver, don't put your hands out, dude. Like, you don't have to do that. Just get in the way. Just slow them down for just a taste. That's all we need. Just that long. That's all you got to do, buddy. And you don't know how to put your hands out. So that I think there was a holding call on him on a 3rd down conversion that Tennessee had. But outside of that, Brew obviously getting those 2 tugs that we talked about. I think that Squirrel played well. Miles Kittelman, he had a nice game. Like we talked about with Matthews. And then, too, we use Dylan Sampson more out of the backfield. We absolutely have got to use our running backs more out of the backfield, especially a guy like DeSant. Peyton Lewis had an opportunity. He dropped that football, but I feel like we did open things up. I felt like we kind of showcased how explosive this team can be, offensively and things like that. James Pierce ended up getting 2 sacks, but there's a whole lot of things for us to cover. But let's get to some of these chats here real quick. So this one right here from Garrett Willis saying they just got to handle Vandy next week. You already know. And thank y'all for joining us. Right here from Timmy G. What's going on, Tim? Saying go Big Orange. Glad to see you in the house. Andrew Ginhall saying go Big Orange. Got a little assist from the Gators. Now let's finish out strong next week. Yeah, that was big. And, there's a lot of people that just don't like Lane Kiffin, but I feel like he does enough to help us out. Like him beating Georgia this season, that could have been big for us. And then him losing to Florida. I'm not saying that he did it intentionally, but I'm just saying the way that things tend to fall, it's like, dude, he's helping us out. So that was major. And they might still make it to the playoffs because today is not over. If Notre Dame loses to Army, if somehow Texas loses to, whoever the heck they're playing, there's several things. There's still plenty of time left. The SEC might get in 5 teams. We talked about Indiana. I said if they lose by 17 or more points, I think that they're done because they don't get enough views on their games. It's all about the money at the end of the day. So right here from April Slaughter saying our boy got him one.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wonder is she related to John? Is that what she's talking about?
Oh yeah, are you?
Wow. Yeah. John's my guy. So yeah, seeing him, man, that was huge. I don't know if you're related to him or something like that, but yeah, I didn't see it myself, but I heard it. I was on the phone with my brother when I heard about that. So, yeah, proud of him, man. Hopefully, he can continue to build off that because he has a bright future, man. I love John Slaughter.
He has a very, very bright future with this team. I mean, we're both very high on him. We always have been. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that we are looking forward to seeing him playing some more. Yeah, I think he fits this system to a T. And we will get into a little bit of the David Sanders talk here in just a minute. Right here from Deborah P. What's going on, Deborah? Saying happy Saturday, Bull and P. Happy Saturday to you as well, Deborah. And from Shivers Delivers 910 says go Big Orange. Beautiful. So from Deborah, we also have her saying we went 3-0 on the first 3 series. I was like, what's happening? Yeah. So I was thinking the exact same thing. And we did kind of touch on that. To me, it felt like we were pressing, it really did. And actually the commentators touched on it, but that's how it looked. It just looked like, man, we're trying to do too much too quickly. Didn't have to do that. We got to come out and play calm. That's why, I talked to Justin Baker and Shady last weekend. I said, look, understand that this is football. Football is football. Just go out there and do what you do. Don't ever make any moment or situation or game bigger than what it is. This is a game. This is still a game. Go out there and do what you've done for so many years that you're really good at, one of the best in the entire world, and just play that way. Just have fun. I think that whenever teams play more loose, they tend to play better. So hopefully, we can get away from some of that tightness moving forward, because we're definitely have to do that. Once we get into the do or die situations.
I think helps with that too is I think the way you and I played. I mean, for us, every single snap meant the world. So It didn't matter whether we're up 1 million, down 1 million. If this is for a championship, this is Drag'em Jamboree. Like, it didn't matter. Every snap was the same freaking way, even in practice. Like, it's always the same. So no moment was too big. And we thought we thrived in those high pressure situations because, I mean, heck, like you said, we've been doing this since we were 6 years old in the backyard of our dad. Like, I mean, nothing changes. So I think these guys need to take on that mentality, because I think that is a knock you could say on this team. Seems like in the biggest moments when we really need to show up, we have a tendency to, like you said, tighten up, lay an egg. Yeah. So that's why this game next week against Vandy will be a big game for us. Going to go a long way to showing me if this team go out here and handle the pressure in a high pressure situation. Can we perform against a team we're better than, a team we should beat? So it's going to be a big game next week.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. It most definitely will be. Where was I at? Okay, so right here from Andrew Ginhall saying that Pierce finally got loose. And love watching him go to work. Yeah, man. So I think he got 2 sacks. Looked like he went down maybe at the end of the 3rd, maybe the start of 4th. But he's going to be fine. This kind of got bumped up. I mean, you're going to hold guys like that out for sure, because we got bigger fish to fry. This is now, again, a playoff team. So, hopefully we can continue to get that going. But let me also touch on that, since you did bring that up, Andrew, that our ends have got to do a much better job of understanding that quarterbacks have watched film on us. So they know that we're going to take those shallow angles and they're going to roll to the outside of us. We have got to take much better angles as pass rushers on the edge. I'm sick of seeing us missing all these sacks. We should have had, 8 or 9 sacks in this game, but we missed so many of them because we're taking bad angles. So I'm hoping that the staff will touch on that and drive that point home. Go to the upfield shoulder, maintain your leverage as you're rushing the quarterback, and don't give up the outside containment, because if there is a huge knock for me in this game, UTEP's quarterback got an opportunity to scamper out, to scramble too much. And once we get to the playoffs, we're going up against all the teams outside of Georgia have Georgia and the daggum Buckeyes have quarterbacks that can move. You know what I'm saying? That are, movers. So those
Miami.
Things,
I was saying, like imagine seeing Cam Ward in Miami. I mean, he's going to scamper all over us.
Dude, you had better have things together from a pass rush lane perspective, especially on the outside. Force them back to the inside. We can get the push. We've got guys in the middle that can get that push. So we have to start working on that. I think, we've got to get a lot better at that. Actually, it looks like there is. Let me get to this super chat real quick. From Timmy G. Hey, man, Tim, appreciate you saying, oh, man, RIP, big Vol Daddy. We lost a huge Vol fan. Wow, man, I did not know about that. Oh man, that right there hurts. Yeah, for sure. RIP to big Vol Daddy. Man, that one is really tough. But we will play the clip for you. We're gonna play it for you, and we're also gonna play it for big Vol Daddy. We're going to play it one more time. Man, that one right there hurts. That one right there really does hurt, man. Thank you, Tim. Wow, had no idea about that. All right, let's try to keep this thing going. Where exactly are we at? With the chats, P, you might be able to help me out. Okay,
you got it.
Yeah, I think I got it. So right here, Deborah saying, so thrilled for Brew, for sure. And then Green Wave, what's going on? Green Wave saying, Bull, you got to give P the settings so he's inside kneeling also. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
That
I was
is
thinking
true.
about that.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get you set up, man. Deborah saying, come on, Kentucky. Is that game close? Because I would love to know what the heck's going on with that one. Y'all have to update us on the scores, but that would be big. From Money Controls It All. There it is. See, this person gets it. Okay, Money Controls It All. You completely totally get it. Saying go Big Orange. Beautiful day. Hypo needs to get Nico started with shorter throws and then get the deeper shots going. I agree with that. He has to get rhythm. Then his accuracy is on point. Yeah, this is the thing because I've talked to y'all about it, man. I do too much of the looking on message boards and stuff. I know that people just get they get so emotional like with these games too early on, and it's just not right. But people are talking about, saying some things about Nico, and we all know, I'm not even gonna, say back what they said, but we all know that Nico is good. But man, his talent level, there's so many things that he does that if you really understand football, and most of us, I think, on this channel understand it. So y'all know what I'm talking about. Just a flick of the wrist. I mean, he's deadly accurate. If he just, like you said, if he can calm down, if he gets himself into a good rhythm, man, he can do some very, very special things. So yeah, I am excited to see him just kind of settle down with all these games and get himself into a good spot so that we can ball out as a team. From Greenwave saying T-Lander looks super fast on a couple quarterback pressures. Yeah, so he's a lot better with the straight line speed. So as a blitzer, he looks good. But in space, woof, boy. P, I mean, maybe I'm off on this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I mean, I can't tell how many times I've been watching the film, and I mean, you see him, he's running one direction, and then the guy cuts, and it takes him it seems like it takes him 7 or 8 steps to stop and redirect to a dude. Now it's too late. He's already passed you now, buddy. You know what I mean? He just needs to work on his change direction, and then when he starts running, he's a little bit too tight. He's just a little bit too tight. He just kind of relax a little bit. But we're not trying to rag on him. We're just saying the things that we're seeing.
Listen, we love T-Lander. We love T-Lander. Absolutely love him.
I mean, if you give me a million of guys with his type of makeup, mental makeup, and just mentality, we love him. But
he's a football
physically player. He needs to get better. And I'm sure he'll be the first to freaking tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, he gets that. That's something that will not get fixed. This season. He's going to take him an entire offseason of pure dedication to get that fixed. But he can get it fixed. Okay. And I know that he will put the work in to get it fixed. But we're just keeping it real with you, because that, to me, that is a problem. Let's get right here to Tim saying the BYU is getting the brakes beat off of him. That's good. That'll help us out. Like we said, there is a possibility that Tennessee could get some home games if teams keep on losing. If today keeps on going in Tennessee's favor, all of a sudden Tennessee could have one of those home games, or I guess it would just be one, or would it be two? I don't know. I have to go back and look. Either way, that would be huge. I love Tennessee's chances versus anybody inside of Neyland. Right here from Robert. What's going on, Rob? Saying we want Vandy. Go Big Orange. We do want Vandy. I'm going to tell you who me and P was talking about earlier, who we really want to see, who we hoping that they don't blow it before they get to see us, is Georgia. And I don't care where it's at. I don't care if it's in Athens, if it's in Knoxville, if it's on a neutral site, if it's inside the parking lot. Want to see those guys again because we owe them. I don't want to go a whole nother year with this bad taste in my mouth of us losing to Georgia. Just can't have that. Yep. But I'm hoping that does play out. But
they gotta hold up. They better hold up their end of the daggone bargain. We're gonna hold up ours.
Yeah. Tennessee's gonna definitely get it done. Now, Deborah saying they're pretty sure T-Lander's dad is a coach. Surprised he isn't better. Yeah. So that's the thing, is that you can't coach certain things. He definitely gets football. He understands football, but he's got to get himself to a point where he can move better out in open space, because right now he's not playing at an SEC linebacker caliber. Now, if he could just play pure Mike, if we go back to old school football 4-3, if we're playing up against Iowa, one of those Big Ten, sorry ass teams, they're gonna run the football right at you. he's a Mike that you want. But in the SEC, where we're playing real modern day football, where we're going to spread the field out, the linebackers got to be able to move. He is a liability at this point. I think he's the biggest liability for us out in space because he can't spy our quarterback. We've seen it. He doesn't look very natural playing out in coverage, but he can use his football knowledge to get to the right spots. He just, and I don't want to talk too much about it because it might sound like I'm trying to rag on him, which I'm definitely not trying to do.
No.
Things that stood out to me that was like, whoa, open my eyes up really big. He has got to, we're going to have to watch out for him. All right, so let's come on down. Where am I at now, P?
I think you're at, yep.
Right this there. One? Okay. So money controls it all. Says Colorado getting beat too. Kansas about to score. They had to get rid of auto bids. Yeah, I think that this is just for me, and P and I talked about this for a while this morning. For me, I think that it just makes the most sense if you're one of these big boy programs like Tennessee is to get rid of all these other smaller schools that are just in our way, because we're not playing the same football. Like we're playing two different sports. Y'all are playing up against nobody. It's like we got to go through a gauntlet. It's not fair to look at these teams' records side by side, and we know that the people voting on this stuff. I told y'all I think it's all about money, and that's who's really calling the shots. But it's not fair for them to say, oh, Indiana hasn't lost a ball game, but they haven't played anybody, but they're going to be ranked higher than all these other SEC teams that have gone through a real gauntlet that would beat, have beat teams by 30 or 40 points that would kill Indiana. See what I'm saying? But Indiana's ranked higher than us. So I just think that they just need to get on up out the way. That's just my thought, because to me, it confuses this whole deal. Pete?
Yeah. That's going to be the biggest, whoever runs college football, whoever that is, the committee, whatever, that's going to be their biggest, I think, task this offseason is figuring out this playoff situation. Or, like you said, is it a deal where, the SEC, Big Ten, maybe we grab a handful of teams from the ACC or whatever, maybe Clemson, Miami or something, and
Florida State too.
Florida State, I think traditionally is at that type of, and we say, hey, these are teams, and as we were talking about earlier, is there's got to be some type of a formula or a metric. You can go back and look over the last 50 years of football and say, hey, teams that have won the championship, or at least teams that won championship have had this caliber of a roster or whatever or something. And if a team doesn't meet that threshold, then they don't make it into, I know we talked about maybe a 32-team league or something like that, then they don't even make it into that league. They play in their own little deal and they win their little championship. But the big boys go play a separate ball, and it's real football there, because there's on any given year, there's not more than maybe 10, 15 teams that really have a real shot to possibly win the whole thing. And hey, sorry, probably about 10 of those are in the SEC. Sorry about that, but it's what it is. But something's got to change, because this format is not sustainable, and it doesn't make sense, man. The schedules are too different to be able to accurately rank these teams.
Yeah, you could literally, even this season, you could really go 6, 7 SEC teams. Because if you're being honest, the people that are voting on the CFP rankings, they say, well, we watch the games. That's fine. Anybody can watch the damn games. Are you watching the film? Are you really breaking this stuff down? That's always been my thing, because you've got to, if you do it that way, it is glaringly obvious. The SEC has so many teams that could actually win it all. The Big Ten has 3. We've said that. We've told y'all. We told you. There's only 3 teams in the Big Ten that have a realistic shot. And even with those 3 teams, it's not that realistic. Could they win it if everything goes well for them? Yeah. But are they better than a lot of there's 4 or 5 SEC teams that would beat every single Big Ten team. And we're not saying that being homers. We're saying that from watching the film. It's very obvious up front, and even with the skill players, it's a night and day difference. It's not even close. So I think that 6 or 7, at least teams from the SEC should, if you're doing it the right way, putting the best teams in, they should be in. But that's not going to happen. I think that at this point, though, Indiana does fall off. So now the SEC should be able to get in 5 teams. Ole Miss lost today. They might still make it, but hold on, because A&M, I think, might be that team that gets in over them. We told y'all it's all about the money. A&M gets a lot more views than Ole Miss does. So we had a feeling that Ole Miss was going to fall at some point. Felt like it would come this week. But now, we have to watch out and see who else. All that really matters to us is that Tennessee is in, and I'm looking for some home.
Is Indiana out?
Oh yeah, Indiana's out.
So?
Indiana's out. I think personally that Indiana is out. Indiana is done. They haven't played anybody.
So.
Yeah, the only team that they played, they got blown out by what they only had like 100, maybe just like 100 yards of total offense. Yeah, okay. Was it? Okay, dang, that's way more than I thought, but even still, that's terrible.
It was low. Yeah.
Yeah, that they did not even compete in this game. So I think that ESPN, who runs the whole playoff thing, will come down and say, look, Indiana's done. We're going to put another SEC team in here that gets more views anyway, that we know can actually compete with these other big dogs, because Indiana ain't it. They just ain't it. All right, so P, where am I at now?
You're at the 1209, Deborah P, 1209.
Okay, this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's saying or add more playoff spots, and money. Yeah, so I think that the NFL model, if I'm not mistaken, is it 14 playoff teams? So we're at 12. Yeah, I don't know why I feel like it's 14, but
might be.
Either way, to me, that is the best model. Yeah, you could always add more, but the problem with that, and I'm not saying that it's like a real problem because it would help things out, but there's always going to be the teams that are on that bubble that people will say, oh, well, what about this team? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's always going to happen. Just have it where no one's voting on it, and it's just about your wins and loss record, because the East plays the West. Everyone kind of plays a even schedule. So whoever makes it in just makes it in. Like, you're going to play, there's 3 other teams that you will be playing twice. So from there, to me, things seem a lot more fair. I don't know if they would ever really want to do that. I don't think that they really do want to do it, but that to me would be the fairest way to kind of shake things up. Let me get to some more of these. Let me try to skip down. Let's see. Minnesota is beating Penn State right now. That's going to be big for us too, because that makes the Big Ten look even weaker. You know what I mean? Like, and it's obviously I always cheer for Coach Franklin. I mean, that's my dog, but yeah, I mean, right now it's all about Tennessee. It's all about Tennessee. From G. Sam Wham Bam says Indiana can get their participation trophy at the losers table. Big old facts. Big old facts. You know what? Let me take a quick pause from this real quick, Pete, because I do want to talk about David Sanders. He did visit Ohio State today, and we pretty much had the probably the same information that some of y'all have. I got this from VolQuest, but it felt like listening to what some of the VolQuest moderators were saying, that maybe there's something to do with his agent. We all know that in this day and age of college football, there's a lot to do with the agents, with the contracts. So I'm thinking at first that it's about money. So I said, okay, let's just match it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just go find some more money. If somebody, has to decommit from Tennessee so that we can make sure that we keep David Sanders, so be it. But then it sounded like maybe it's not really about the money, because then I heard, well, Tennessee had an offer in that's head and shoulders above everybody else. So now I'm at the point where, okay, well, what is it within his contract that his agent is looking for that Tennessee can't do? For me, the only thing that I could think of is that David Sanders does want to be a surgeon, and he liked the Buckeyes because they have a really great, I guess, surgeon program. So, maybe they've got something over us in that aspect, but I do still feel like David Sanders will end up a Tennessee Vol. But I didn't feel very encouraged coming away from what I heard off of VolQuest. Not to, jump the gun or nothing, because David Sanders is still committed, but it does feel like, or it sounds like, he might be up at Ohio State, maybe, all the way up until Monday. So for like the entire weekend. So that's serious. But
that's definitely, that's definitely a concern. I know I thought he was going there for the game, but the fact that he's staying up there for a few days, that definitely is concerning. But I mean, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. I know I seen a guy on Twitter. I forget what what he was on, like whose show he was on. He was talking about, after Michigan got Bryce Underwood, I think 10, 12 million, whatever it was they're paying him. He was basically putting out a warning to the SEC and to teams down south, like, hey, like, listen, these Big Ten schools, they have long pockets, or deep pockets, and if this becomes a bidding war, he was saying he felt confident these guys could throw out that type of money kind of at will. And I mean, I think Tennessee has as much money as pretty much anybody. We can throw out whatever.
Dude, listen. Whoever said that was a Big Ten homer. We got money down here too. Okay, like, we got just as much money as they do. I just told y'all that Tennessee way outbid Ohio State from a money perspective. Okay, and I think Ohio State would probably be the biggest. Really, and not to cut you off, Pete, but I just had to touch on this real quick, because with Michigan, they went all in for a quarterback. they're taking away a lot of money from the rest of their NIL, obviously, but they're not going to be as good with their offensive front and stuff because they're seeing that this is a quarterback driven game, right? You've got to have a good quarterback. Maybe they feel like, hey, we can bring in some offensive linemen to kind of like live up to the standards. But down here in the SEC, okay, Tennessee really started. We paid Nico $8 million. It kind of rolls from there, but it ain't like we can't rematch and do, you know what I'm saying? Texas got long pockets, A&M's got long pockets. We got, you know, at that, to me, that's whenever I start to hear bias, whenever someone says, oh, the Big Ten, you know, come on, dude. Like, who do you think that you're dealing with? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's something I said. But I was brought up just because, I mean, you know, I thought the timing of that, I mean, you look at Bryce Underwood, and then, you know, if David Sanders does flip, you know, it's almost as if maybe he knew something or something. But, I mean, again, I think David Sanders will end up in our class. I don't know why he's flirting with these guys for. So it's like he said he was locked in and his family loves it in Knoxville and close to home. He's practiced the drive and all that stuff. So, I mean, if it's not about the money, like you said, maybe it's about the, you know, the surgeon program, whatever. But, I mean, heck, he knew that beforehand. So why is it a big deal now? I just don't know. It's definitely, I don't know. Just I don't know what to think of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so early right now. Obviously, we should have some more information as the weekend kind of you know, goes further. I would say definitely by sometime next week we should have a much better idea of where David Sanders is. And look, it would be a huge loss for us if we do end up losing David Sanders. But I think that if you're looking at this from a football perspective, there's no realistic reason to choose Ohio State unless you just want, you know, it's like a really easy path because they haven't done a good job with their offensive linemen. Like their offensive line has been pretty average the entire season, and they're going up against bums. Like they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like we're probably on par as far as putting players in the NFL over the past since Heupel's been here, as Ryan Day has done in that same time frame. So there's not a whole lot that they're doing better than us from a football perspective. And Ryan Day might end up getting fired because I still think that they could lose to Michigan next weekend. And I think that if that happens, there's a pretty solid chance, you know, because they're not going to do anything inside of the playoffs unless they just give them a very clear, easy path versus Boise State and daggone Big 12 team. But if they got to play up against somebody with a pulse, they're going to lose. Okay, they're going to lose. They're not that good. They're underperforming with a bunch of 5-stars. So I'm saying all that just to say I wouldn't even be surprised if Ryan Day doesn't stay at Ohio State after this season because he really can't coach. He's not a real football guy. Like, who's worse, him or is it Brian Kelly, right? Because I think that Ryan Day has a lot more talent, but to me, they're kind of like the same person. Where people who have, you know, really been around football will understand this. Whenever you think about a football coach, there's a certain type of real, genuine toughness to him, and it's not fake. Ryan Day, Les Miles, those are fake tough guys. Like I don't believe in fake tough guys to lead a football team. Now, Josh Heupel, very laid back, but you could tell that Josh Heupel is a dog. He's a dog. Like you got to be a dog to be one of those coaches. I don't think that Ryan Day or Brian Kelly, I don't think that they're that. So both of them kind of like hot seat guys, but I would say that Ryan Day, having lost to Michigan, if they lose to him this season, P, would that be 3 or 4 years in a row?
Yeah, something
like that.
It's been a lot. Yeah, I think 4.
Buddy, you're done. You're done. And they just spent $20 million on their roster. The reason that that's out there is because they want for folks to know, hey, we spent a whole bunch of money here so that, you know, everything's up there. If Ryan Day can't win it with this team or at least make it there to the national championship, I think that he's done. Honestly, I do. So I'm saying all that just to say I think that David Sanders will end up at Tennessee because Coach Heupel ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't about to fire him. I think he's doing fine. There's some things that need to get fixed, but it's not the same sort of a situation. But Pete, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, man, I think the early playing time is I don't really know exactly, like what Ohio State's roster is. I mean, I'm sure they got guys waiting, but I mean, there's a clear path on the field year one for him if he wants to come here to Tennessee. I think, you know, whether that's a guard or tackle, and maybe that's what the conversation's kind of turned into. Maybe we've talked to him about, hey, we're going to start you off at guard and then move you tackle. Maybe he doesn't like that. I don't know. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think wherever he wants to play, he could play, and we could move other guys around. Similar to what we did with Lance Hurd and John Campbell. Said, well, hey, we got to get Lance Hurd. So, John, hey, we're going to move you to right tackle so we can bring in this guy and have a better overall O-line. And, you know, same thing with with David Sanders. You know, we'll put him guard, center, tackle, or when they play, and we'll move guys around to make sure you have a spot where you want to be at.
Yeah. So we will see. But I feel fine about it. It does sound like Christian Gaz was up on campus today, so that's really big because there has been some talk back and forth. I think we talked about this on Friday that I wasn't sure if he would make it up or not, but I do feel a lot more confident that he will be solid with Tennessee. You know, Georgia's going to keep on knocking on that door, but if we can hold on to guys like that, you know what I'm saying? Like that helps us out. Obviously, offensive line, it's all about trench play. You need front seven guys on both sides. But you know, we will see. I just personally, you know, for me, having followed David Sanders, especially very, very closely, I do feel like Tennessee's going to end up winning that one out once it's all said and done. And you know, maybe even some of the insiders, they might be a little bit skeptical of that, or you know, whatever. But I think that we're going to hold on to them. You know, hopefully so. Anyway, and if we don't, I don't know who the backup plan would be, but for me, biggest thing is Tennessee is now a playoff team. We're going to get back into the lab. Obviously, we got some more games to watch, but we will get back into the lab and let you know how things look as far as Tennessee now being able to get a home game in the playoffs. What are the chances that Tennessee can actually make it to the SEC championship? But that's going to be it for this one. You know, we had to keep this short, but thank y'all for joining us. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on y'all's way out the door. And also share with your friends, family, and all the volunteer fans. And P, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, man, let's just lock in this week and get ready to go out here and get this dub against Vandy. And hey, let's go make a run. Hey, like Grant Perkins said, let's win some championships.
There it is. All right, y'all. Thank y'all. We'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Go Vols.